Every builder knows how unpredictable a project can be, but clients often feel caught off guard by delays or setbacks or any other bad news. In today's episode, Tim from Kai Konstruct talks about how he builds trust and keeps things transparent, making sure clients stay informed and reassured every step of the way. If you're a builder and you've ever struggled to align client expectations with the reality of a project, this episode is for you.
It is a common mistake in our industry as, say, a builder. I know a lot of people who aren't builders look at building as this really mystical, oh, we're just happy, we'll just deal with what we have. It's too hard, interest rates, the building industry, all the rest of it. If I gave you 3 different quotes, would you be able to understand the difference?
No way.
In what's actually getting put into the home?
No.
So it's really important to...
This is Tim Sace from Kai Konstruct. How old is Kai Konstruct now?
We're going into our 8th year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
We've had him on multiple times before.
All these different media companies keep ringing me and they're like, hey, we can do great fly through videos and all the rest of it. I'm like, have you seen all my videos? And like, yeah. I'm like, do you see the one logo at the bottom of it? Yeah. I'm like, has it changed? No, we don't think so. I'm like, that's right.
And on this episode, we discuss every consistent aspect of his business that's made him a sought-after builder.
I don't necessarily care what we build, but it's the people we build for. And so the value that you need to provide as a builder and that we provide and focus on needs to far outweigh.
Big thank you, Tim, for jumping in. You and I sort of kicked off the whole podcasting thing 5 years ago when we did one, and it came from just a lot of questions that I was being asked by guys who were interested in working with us, and they'd seen your videos and what had you done? What worked well for you? And so then we just got you on and just asked you those questions, which is awesome. And so now 5 years later, we thought, let's do it again.
100%. That was a great conversation too. 5 years ago, then we caught it, a year ago?
Yeah.
And man, what a great start to the year this is going to be.
Yeah, very exciting year ahead. Let's jump in. So first one, and you sort of help put some of these topics together, stuff that you're passionate about or really keen to share with industry and stuff like that. First one is, I guess, an interest of mine always when I'm talking to builders is why. Why do you do what you do? But maybe to dive in a bit deeper, tell us a bit about why you do what you do and where Kai Konstruct is today.
It's a great question that quite a few mates of mine ask in different industries, like why be a builder with all these different factors that you have to control? And I think every builder to some extent loves creating something. And I've loved just watching something come out of the ground and just construction and the intricacy of it all and the method around it, and then being able to see what you're building right at the end. Like the actual physical building part was what drew me to building. And that, I guess, creativity in property and real estate. I love property and real estate. Laura, my wife, she loves property as well.
Has it always been like that, or has that grown over time?
I think it's grown more into a passion where there's more knowledge behind that passion. Everybody loves property to a point, I feel. And then it's when do you make it a professional, I guess, a professional passion to like, I really want to understand property development and real estate.
It does. Now that you say that, it makes me think like you can only, well, my opinion, you can only really love property as much as your knowledge allows you to.
Agreed.
And so if you don't know, and I find that the more I learn about property, it's like, oh, what, man? Okay, well then I want to jump in more into it and learn more about that. So I know because we talk property. I remember talking property with you and some other guys on one of our overseas trips, and having a big spa together after the conference, and that was the first time my head blew with property.
Just the concept
of it.
Was that in Miami?
Yeah. And prior to that, I mean, the way I was raised, property wasn't a thing. It wasn't a topic on the table. It wasn't, you have your one house, that's your home. You paid off over 30 years. That's
definitely
life. Not understanding at all that it can be a vehicle, how you can leverage into it. Just, and like talking to you and Greg, it was like, my mind exploded. So I think I can't imagine if that was where like you were already there.
Well, I had an interest in like carpentry and building, right? And I was seeing all these things getting built and working for the builder that I worked for, and with my brother Jamie, who's now runs Kai Construct's construction side of the business, which is fantastic. It was like we're building all these things, and we're right at the end. We're like, well, if they can do it, why can't we do it to an extent? And that was like the initial thought, but there's no knowledge behind of the actual actioning of that desire. And then when I met Lauren, she's like, oh yeah, this is my second, I think it was her third home at the time. And I'd just been like renting as an apprentice, did a reno, and then we moved in together. And then she had far more experience in property, her property journey, because she was just driven and directed on that. And then it just evolved into working for volume home building companies and then development companies, and then thinking, hey, we could create something really cool together that's different. And that's how it all sort of sparked, especially when we started having a family.
So you're saying there that you and Lauren have been on this property journey. What have been some of the things maybe in the last 5-6 years that you guys have purposely exposed yourself to that help demystify that?
Like that side of property, building and property?
Yeah.
That's a great question, because I guess
a lot of guys want to get into that.
Yeah, or you start a building company as a carpenter, and then you get into it and you're like, wow, this is a completely different ship than what I thought I'd be running.
Yeah.
I guess as much personal education and development as possible. And sometimes, like, we had years where we learned so much, and other times there was a season in our relationship where we were working a lot, so it didn't take full priority. And then it comes back to, we've got a passion again, we'll move, we'll buy a farm. And it just escalated from there to the point where now we were catching up last week. I'm like, man, we've been on this farm for 14 years now. 14. Whoa. And I found a photo of when we were living in her dad's caravan, thank you, Don, for like 6 months while we built our first home together. And I built that with the help of my boss, who was a builder. Yeah. And then, so we moved, got married, and built our home in 1 year, in 11 months actually.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so we moved into the farm in January.
That?
Yeah, and then I built that house from scratch on my own and with my brothers.
Yeah.
Who helped me. And then we got married in October, and we moved into the house 2 weeks before we got married. Wow. And so that was one big chunk of year in property, and we moved from one area to another. And then the 1 or 2 years after that, we're just like, we're just not doing it. It was a big, And so there's ebbs and flows in property development and property acquisition, or even building. I know a lot of people who aren't builders look at building as this really mystical, if I get it right, it'd be a 1 in 100 chance of happening, and it stops them from doing a project or stops them from moving their home. They're just, we're just happy, we'll just deal with what we have. It's too hard, interest rates, the building industry, all the rest of it. So
I think just like a big thing that we often see with builders is because they're in it every day, they will sometimes communicate to their prospective client or client in a way where it's like, yeah, this is how it's going to be, and they just like skim over things, and they're like, they might get frustrated. We talked about it on the podcast the other day actually about just the frustrations on delays and selections, and it's like the client it's a bit like this fog they're trying to just feel their way through, because it's not their game. It's not what they do.
Yeah.
Like one thing we often hear, and I recently experienced myself again, is the ability to visualize what it's going to look like at the end. Like we're moving office at the moment, and I went in there the other day with Andre, and it was pretty close to complete. There were some wires coming out with some lighting fixtures that were going to be put in, and a drape over the whole floor. And the guy was just finishing up painting, and I walked in there going, "It's kind of cool, like I guess so." And literally, like a few days later, the drape off the floor was gone, or the covering. Lights were in, and the guy finished painting. That's it. Yeah. And all of a sudden, I walked in there going, "Whoa, it's so different," and I just couldn't visualize.
Couldn't put the pieces together on the stages.
The gap wasn't that big from where it was to when I walked in the next time.
Yeah.
But you imagine someone who hasn't built, and you're showing them plans and going, "It's going to walk like this," or you walk through site once framing's up, you can feel it here. It's like, I don't think. They probably say they can, just due to like the whole, Emperor's New Clothing.
Yeah,
but
true.
You wonder how much they're actually comprehending. And I think there's a huge opportunity in that.
There is, and it is a common mistake in our industry, as say a builder, who we deal with all this terminology and this process every single day. So for us, it's just like, we can just build a house, and we wouldn't have to think about it because we do it every single day.
Yeah.
But failing to communicate that clearly on the steps, having the right building team, the process around it, who to start with, who to work with, and then getting to site and explaining that, what we talked about 9 months ago on a flat piece of paper with lines, and then walking through the homes like, this feels bigger than what I thought, or smaller one, and that's completely normal. But we over communicate. I have learned personally to over communicate everything with our clients, whether they've built 10 times before, it's their first home that they're going to build for themselves because they've waited to build their forever home.
Yeah.
And so the process is the same. And so whether they know it or not, I'm like, if you know it, great. If you don't, you're going to be learning a heap. Because sometimes construction feels really slow, where we're going to start on site, and you drive past the job site and there's nothing going on.
Or there's no one on site, and then they get frustrated. And it's
like,
why is no one building?
Exactly right. And then suddenly there's a slab, or suddenly the whole entire house is demolished and it's doing work, and then frame stage, and then it feels small because it's framed. Then they sheet the walls and it feels big again. It's just this really psychological wave of building.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to, I guess, have good rapport and trust your builder and understand that they should be your guide, and that from Kai Construct's perspective, our whole entire operations team is over communicate, because our experience every day is sometimes person's one-off experience, and we want to make sure that they feel at ease with it. Yeah.
That's a very good point. Do you find that you or the team ever or often asks the client, okay, so just so that we're on the same page here, just like a check-in, I suppose you have to be very careful without patronizing them. What's the next step? What's your next task that you need to do on this project? because often I feel like when I've been in that situation, it's like all this information. I go, yep. I could get it. It makes sense as you're explaining it.
Yeah.
And they go, all good. Yeah, all good. Yeah. And then I leave the meeting and it's like, so like Carly, what's the next?
Whose ball is this caught in? Do we have to do something?
Are we waiting? And then like you kind of don't do anything, and a week later you get an email going, how'd you guys go with that? That's what you're supposed to do.
But you know what? That's the person's responsibility who's running the meeting to set that agenda. So every single meeting that we do pre-construction, during our concept or our prelim stage, or during construction, I literally had a phone call with a client yesterday afternoon, and she's about to fly out. We're getting plans ready, almost finished. It's like, it's my responsibility to let her and her husband know that all the balls are currently in my court. You do not have to do anything. You will get an email in the next 1 or 2 days of the revised concept plans. Just think it over. And then I follow it up. Well, our team follows it up because I'm very conscious my team are far more effective communicating than I am some of the time because of my commitments on site, is that they will email and go, here's what Tim spoke about. Here's the concept plans. We'll see you in 2 weeks and we're going to discuss this in 2 weeks. Here's what you need to bring. So because often you walk away from a conversation. I do it as well sometimes, even with consultants that I'm dealing with a complex issue. And I walk away going, was I supposed to be? And then you don't want to email and you feel like, if I'm a builder, I should know. So why should I ask that? Very much the same for the client. So I say to all our clients right at the start, it's like, we're a team. You have full right to ask any question you want, zero judgment. If we're building for medical professionals, I don't know how to do heart surgery. I'll be asking you every single thing. You have the same option here. And that's what you're engaging us to do before construction and during construction.
I almost feel like you want to, like, that's a big thing when you're hiring a consultant, is you don't want to feel stupid. And I hate,
I'm okay with feeling stupid now. I just ask all the questions. As long as my clients are getting the result, or the project is king rule. It's like, as long as the result for the project is like outperforms everything, my ego is off the table. And if I learn something from it, then great. I'm learning every day and I deal with building all the time and I'm still learning. I don't expect my clients to understand everything in building. That's what we're here for.
One thing, we're talking a lot about the clients. Coming back to where Kai Konstruct is today, you've built a lot of amazing projects and had an impact on a lot of people. Talk us through that. What's it like now looking back on, because that was always a big driver for you. I remember when we first did that first overview story, if you guys telling that story, it was to have that impact on other families.
Definitely.
What's it now? Because how old is Kai Konstruct now?
We're going into our 8th year.
Okay, so going to 8th year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Looking back, what's that like? That feeling like, looking back on the impact you've had, and maybe tell us a story that comes to mind.
100%. So I mentioned before, like, getting into building first, you get attracted to building structures, and then starting Kai Konstruct, and then understand there's another layer to just another project. Let's build it, and the monetary side of it. There's another layer to that of like that emotional connection of, I don't necessarily care what we build, but it's the people we build for. Very selective on who they are, because I want to have a great experience with them, and I want my team to have a great experience building their home. And so in regards to that, you want to have that connection with those people. And then time and time again, I actually get blown away, and sometimes I have to leave the handover room because I get super emotional about it, because I say to the team, like, we've just handed over somebody's home that is their forever home, that they now get to raise their family in a season in a completely new environment. And the ripple effect that will have on their kids' experience, on their kids' experience through generations, they might hold their home for generations through it and go, oh, remember when we got this house renovated for our family? So, for example, I had dinner with clients that we just finished a project in the hinterland. It was a 2-year relationship building from when we first started to the end. We're quite good friends. It's a great relationship in the fact that I went around for dinner and I was sitting at their dining table and I was looking at their kitchen out to the pool area in their living room. And I was just like, the conversation was happening. And you know how you sort of like just step out for like a millisecond and just realize I'm sitting in the dining room table that they came to me 2 years ago and had this idea of what it would feel like to have dinner with family and friends. And here I am literally experiencing that in their home and looking around just going, man, the team and I delivered something special, and this family is going to pass it down to their daughters and their daughters and sons and all the rest of it. That ripple effect is completely different to just building a renovation. Here's your keys, see you later. And living in that home and walking through that home now with them, where it's fully furnished and it has their touch, is completely different to when I hand over a fully clean, finished home with a team and it's empty. And it's still, their home had a lot of character reflected of them with the joinery and the finishes, but it still didn't have their furniture and their belongings and their photos and all the rest of it. So going back, that was one in particular that I was like, wow, this is what we're doing. Message the team saying this is the reason, not what we build, but why we build it for and the impact that has. So
wow.
And I'm sure that
how did the team receive that?
The team are pumped about it because they see a component, because we have our own in-house carpentry team too, and the type of work that we do, it's generally from start all the way to the finish. We're all involved. That's how we've built the company. I'm very passionate about that. And they just love getting the impact. And I take them all the week of handover. The whole entire team goes and walks through the finished product and go, you should be very proud about the care and attention to detail that you've put into it. Wow. And I don't hire anybody for our carpentry team. They're handpicked. They have to be passionate about carpentry and they have to have our ethos. And we've been very fortunate in attracting those right people. We have a really great team that have been around for a long time. And it's nice for the clients to go, gee, we just know that your team cares about what they're doing. And it's nice to live in a home that has been cared about when it's been built. Yeah. And I think that's the ripple effect. Long answer, but that's the different level in just building something.
Wow, that's really cool to hear.
Oh, and that's why I'm passionate about building. Whether it's for Lauren and myself, or whether it's for another family. Because the impact goes far beyond of just like, hand over the keys, see you later. Like I see some clients that I built for back in year 2 of Kai Konstruct. At the beach, message them how they're going on their birthday, things like that. You know, it's a great community you can create.
It just goes to show how important it is when it comes to just choosing and working with the right clients.
Yeah. So it's a two-way relationship on that, 100%.
Yeah. Next question I want to raise, because it's a topic I think for the wider audience, just for industry, people looking for builders, but also new builders looking at what direction they want to go in. A lot of them want to go down the luxury custom home, architectural kind of stuff. For yourself, what does it take to build a luxury custom home? Knowing
what you want to build personally as a builder. And I guess there's two folds to that question. So what does it take to build a custom home? It depends on what type of builder are you, or what type of builder are you looking for? Okay. From a client and both industry perspective. Yeah. The volume home industry and the residential custom home builder, both in residential, two very like worlds apart. And I've worked in both industries. Okay. And so I've seen it firsthand. Started in the custom home apprentice carpenter and then moved halfway when I was carpenter for 7 years in the custom home, and then did project like construction, site supervisor, construction manager, project management in volume. Okay. And I was a little bit taken aback at the two different ways you can build. However, the volume home industry is geared for a specific client person price point, and they do well in that area to service the construction needs and the housing needs of Australia. Custom home builder is more refined and custom. It's not, I've never built the one home twice in Kai Konstruct ever. So it comes down to,
and I would say that comes to like the true form of custom, because I know there's that word's getting kind of used pretty widespread.
Yeah, it can be like target, custom volume,
custom your pre-designed home.
Yes.
You know, paint, door handles.
Yeah, I don't classify as a custom home as selecting a paint color in option A. That's, and you can choose these 4 color selections.
Yours is fully custom from the ground up. Start making you can choose
from this. Like, what do you want? A slab on ground? Do you want like a lot of sloping blocks we've built on in the hinterland, obviously, that we're known for? But like everything, type of construction, what are your priorities? What do you want to put in there? And sometimes the type of product dictates how we build the home. So it's the custom home builder should address all those things and give you the flexibility with it. I know we do. Like our process is really thorough pre-construction before we even start on site, because I don't want to be making too many decisions during construction. Apart from when a client walks through, like we just talked about, this looks different to what was on the plans. We always accommodate things around that. But a custom home builder provides flexibility, personality of the family, and addresses the intent of the home. Okay. So are you going to raise kids in it? Is this your retirement that your kids are going to come and stay and bring their grandkids, your grandkids too? Or is this a like development flip sort of scenario, renovate and flip it off? We don't do generally the flipping component because of how we've structured and focus on in the industry. But there's also a difference if you want the custom home option where you want to have that flexibility and you want to work with a more personalized approach, because with volume, you have your supervisor's number, you call the head office and that's it. Yeah. Ours is more of a personalized approach, and they get to know our whole entire team as the stages progress.
Within the custom home builder space, what are the different, like, I'm sure in there you also then have differences amongst builders.
That's a great question. Yeah. Because
the reason why I ask that is because we have, like, I would say 90% of our builders are custom home builders, like you've described.
Yes.
But man, there's not two that are the same. So
every builder builds different. Every builder runs their building company differently. We just have the same parameters to build to effectively. So you can have a one-man band custom builder who does great work in a certain type of project that they wouldn't be suited to a larger scale custom home, and multiple of them at a time. So, I was a one-man band custom builder 7 years ago, and then we've built our team to 14
so that's like
plus now.
One man.
So, for example, when I was I was just me. I was doing the estimating, the sales, the selections, the on-site meeting. I was building the home. I was doing everything. And you can only really do one well or two well, depending on the project and where it is. Now you have this difference between you have a 1 or 2 man band or on their own, or you have a small team, or you have like a volume home structured, efficient building company working in the custom space,
Okay.
which is what I've focused on building within Kai Konstruct as a team.
So having your own carpentry team,
We have our own carpentry
administration team,
have our own site supervisor, which is my brother, because him and I did our apprenticeship. Our standards are exactly the same. We think the same. Yeah. We tell the apprentice to do the same thing. Yeah. Like, I walk away, you should do it this way because this, and this is how we can do it better. I walk away, Jamie comes, says verbatim the same thing. And our apprentice is like, you guys having like a leg on? Or he's looking at me as he's saying it. I'm just like, just let it play out. I'm just showing you that what Jamie decides is exactly what I decide. Yeah. And I'm blessed in that respect that I get to do this with my brother as well. But there's that structure on site. So there's a lot of construction happening right now as we're talking, and it's being managed as if I was building it. Yeah. And then we have our in-office team. We have our client liaison contracts. She organises everything on site. And then we have our operations manager and then me. Okay. And so they're all really highly efficient, skilled people in those areas. Yeah. But that is how one custom home builder company can be run. And that's how one-man band can be run. So you need to be careful who you choose for your project and make sure that the capacity is there for what you want it to do.
That's so true. Like you said, it comes down to what type of project do you have? Yeah. How do you want the journey to look, and what relationship do you want with your builder?
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not saying the outcome would be that much different. You get 4 walls and all the rest of it.
What's suited to you?
Yeah, but like, what's the quality? How is it built? How is it managed? I guess building today, the changing of the guard that we talked about numerous times over the past year, is that building companies, how they operate now after all of that turmoil in the industry, you have to be a well-structured, organized, systemized, communicate well on every project because there's too many things at stake now and the cost of money is higher. And so the value that you need to provide as a builder and that we provide and focus on needs to far outweigh what is being paid. And so it's very important to understand, if you're engaging a builder or if you're a builder yourself, focus on the projects or focus on the builder that can deliver that project, either from past experience or you have a really good rapport with them and they're going to deliver because they have a team behind me. Like, if I got sick, all our projects still keep building. Yeah. And that's the difference between the two in that custom home space.
A question that I've had just from like friends, and I thought I'd raise it with you. When I talk to friends and family about what we do in the industry that we help, and I get passionate about talking about the differences amongst builders and volume and custom. And I've had it explained to me once, and I was like, whoa, because I asked the one guy I was talking about building $50 million Hampton home. And I was like, what on earth? You like, is it all just gold? Like, and he was like, he laughed and he goes, and then he explained why. But maybe for the wider audience that listen to this, or, builders, clients out there that might listen to this, why is custom often more in terms of money investment compared to choosing a pre-designed project home?
2 components. Structurally, volume home is set, it's designed, they have pricing agreements with suppliers, they build hundreds of homes a year on that. So that rate is controlled. Economies of scale. Okay. Custom home builder, like, I still have great relationships with all our suppliers and we get good pricing on it, but the supplier can't give us a certain rate of 100 custom homes that's exactly the same compared to one unique type of home. Yeah. Like, custom homes can have curved walls, rake ceilings, 3 stories high, massive, like all these parameters outside design wise that are beautiful to build and to live in, that cost money to actually achieve. Then you have, that's from a structural perspective, that things you never see. I'm always big on making them efficient because you want to put the money on what you see, touch and feel every day. And then you have the selections. So for us, I can see why they build us like $50 million Hamptons. That makes complete sense to me. You might have $200,000 worth of joinery wainscoting through that whole entire house. There's only one.
Joinery what, sorry?
Wainscoting. The wainscoting detail on the walls? No. We're about to do a project with, I can't say too much now, but with the owner of someone who does that, and I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah. But it's custom timber molding that only 1 or 2 companies in Australia produce, but in the UK it's everywhere. So building that style over here is often more expensive because there's a lot more detail involved with it. Yeah. The type of carpenter that does that type of work, completely different scale of skill level, completely different. And we've been fortunate to incorporate a broad scale of experience within our carpentry team specifically to do those sorts of projects. And so it just adds up. We're getting a carpet from London. You just got ordered yesterday it's a 5-month wait. And so like, we can source materials anywhere. It's for that client specifically. It's not for an investment. And you sure as hell wouldn't get that from a volume home selection side of it.
So what you're putting in the home has been
What you're putting in the home has been selected.
Sometimes made for that home, for that project, for that client. Yeah. Right. Sometimes pretty, definitely one-off.
Yeah. Engineered stone, which is great economies of scale, or natural stone. I have a good mate of mine that I'm working with, and we looked at the natural stone component versus the engineered, and it's like 5 times the price. However, it's different, everyone has different priorities. Yep. So it comes down to value management of what you put into your home.
And what do you value?
And what do you value? Yeah. And that's not for me to say, that's not for any builder to say, it's for the client to be able to have the permission and the freedom to ask all the questions that they want, and for us to delve in and understand what they actually think is important for themselves, and then we just give our advice, and they can make that decision with clarity, that they know what's going on and the cost associated with certain areas. So you can build a $50 million home easily. Wow. If you wanted to. Do you want to, JP?
No, I don't think so. I'll keep it. I was listening to one of our builders, the way he goes about it. He does pre-designed and fully custom. And the way he goes about it, I thought was pretty unique. It's more like he'll show a prospective client, 30, 40 homes he's done, and go, have a look at those homes. Tell me which one internally you like the look and the feel of.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome. Cool. So that one is going to be about, $2,000 a square meter or 2,500 a square meter. Brilliant. If that's what you want, awesome. We're just going to reduce the
size of the home.
So, I was like, that's so different, because so often I've heard about it going around the designer designs, floor plans, space, how you're going to live in the home. Then we get to what are we going to put in it. So then you've already got the design, which you fall in love with. Then you're trying to fill it with stuff that you love, and then you have a budget. As to, it was a bit of a different way to go about it.
It's a solid a point there. We do a similar way, but with custom, it's hard to sort of delineate
for sure.
But it's like a project summary of like, we built, say, Kingfisher. This is how much that type of build costs. Mountain Home, this is sort of the finishes now of what it would cost. A bunch of other projects. Then we've done, the girls said that we've done over 100 projects. There's a few key ones, but we've done over 100 projects within Kai Konstruct. And so we just here's the example of finishes you can expect for these sort of costs around it. And it's important to know too that I was catching up with a developer, like he's done a lot of development, massive like land development for 50 plus living. He's out of that business now. And I had a conversation because I was helping him with his home from a referral. And he was saying, we were always told to focus on what are the outdoor areas going to serve? How do you want the internal, like the interiors to feel? Like what do you want the land room to function as? What does it need to be? And then design the home around those two parameters.
Wow, I like that.
And I was like sitting there going, no, that's completely backwards. And then he started explaining it more. And it's like, well, most people want to enjoy the outdoors and have that outdoor component, regardless of the size of the block, right? Pool area in a small block, doesn't matter. And then where do you want to feel connected? So the land room has to be near the pool, or it has this area. And then suddenly you're getting all these checklists of how your design needs to look, and then go draw it. I'm a big believer of reducing floor space and increasing quality of finishes. As you know, like even Lauren and mine's home that we renovated, it's a 2-bedroom apartment on 40 acres. It's a running joke. I love every single square inch of it. And I can assure you from Lauren's selections, every square inch of it is high quality. So, and I can say that with banter, but living in a home like that is like, I said to her a year later, I really appreciate you choosing those selections now that it's been paid for. So it's important to look at it like that. It's not just draw the biggest floor plan, how many rooms. On a media room, run pest want 5 bedrooms, all the rest of it.
Because that's often how people...
it is.
I would say I'm one of those uneducated people that one day would love to build a home. And I would probably come and go, oh, yeah, would love it. Room for my wife and I, our 2 girls, each have a room, a study /
You go straight to logistics.
Yeah, you go straight to, there'll be enough rooms, a lounge room, maybe a second library reading room, double garage, plus shed. You start there. And it's like, whoa, how do you want to flow through the space? How are you going to use it? What do you want it to feel like? Very different way to go about it.
And so many things add into that in regards to aspect of the block. What's next door, what's behind you, what's in front of you, where do you want to focus on? So there's so many things that building designers focus on as well, but having a builder input at the same time is invaluable. And you should focus on the outside in, personal development sort of stuff, but it applies in building too. It's very important.
Definitely. When it comes to you guys, and you mentioned 100 projects, you're seeing the impact you've had on your clients. One thing I keep hearing you say is your team. So no doubt it's an important part.
Yeah.
I know you've made that case very strong to me personally, outside of cameras and that. How have you gone about building that team, selecting that team, and training and upskilling that team?
I found very progressive. Okay. As the company has grown, selecting the team, I don't know whether it's happened or it's just been organic. And I found that my focus is, my team, I love like family. They all know that very specifically. I demand like a lot, not demand, but I expect a lot performance-wise from everyone, whether you're on site or in the office, but all of them know that they are like my family. Laura and I want to look after them. We can do anything that we can for them, both personally and on site. And I think that's a really core component of building a strong, tight-knit team. And so it's happened organically for us. I'm like, well, Jamie was obviously the first person that came on. It made sense for us because we needed to do production and carpentry. But then building an office team is often the hurdle block for us as builders. But when you have that support in there, we have April, and as a contracts admin, I've mentioned to you before multiple times, like privately, it's just like has just changed the business to better serve our clients far more than what I could. Wow. And then runs the project management software, which is the backbone of our business. Jamie very much so on site in his role. And then now with Rachel as our operations manager, adds another component of the day-to-day running of the business and where we know our business is running right down to the dollar in 12 months time is important as a business owner, especially in building, to understand and know how your building company is running. Absolutely. So building that team, I love going to work and I could hang out with them personally. There's still that professional aspect, but you need to have that connection and know that they're going to be able to deliver what you need. Last year, I think it was a year and a half ago, we did not personality profiling, putting people in a box, but we personality mapped everyone, even like apprentices, like the whole business, we just personality mapped them because I wanted to understand, do I have the right people in my business? You know how you sometimes you self-analyze, you just want to keep refining your business. Do I have the right people in my business right now that tick all the boxes that I either don't thoroughly enjoy as much or is not my strong point as a business owner? And ironically, it was just when Rachel was coming on board and we did it then, and it was like this perfect square. It wasn't intended like from that component of personality mapping, but it's just like we all understood how each other operates. We don't take offense if someone's short, that's just their personality, they're data driven. We don't take offense if someone wants to talk for a little bit longer because that's how they communicate it. And we just all worked out how we can best communicate and work with each other. And since then as well, it's just jumped up this other level of Kai Konstruct is just now this autonomous operation that is super effective at what we do. And now we're focusing even more and more on how we build. That's been a constant improvement. And that's a long answer to how do you build your team progressively, organically, but make sure you have the right people in the right seats. Wow. We have a very, very tight-knit team. When people go, how big is your operations team for the amount of work that we're doing? They're like, really? If you have the right people and they do a lot of work in a short amount of time, output, like the fishy thing, exactly what this video is about, like small, like little input, massive output. And that's what we've been able to create with the culture within Kai Konstruct. I'm very protective of that too. That's why I handpick everyone that comes on board because I don't want to unbalance it. Yeah.
I think that's also, because one thing you've messaged me a quote in the past, I think ties right well into that. I find it here. From someone very, very wise. Train your staff so well they can leave. Treat them so well they don't want to. That was from Richard Branson.
Oh, big time hero.
Yeah, you sent that to me. So that's a big one. And by the sounds of it there, you've also created such a team and culture where they all want in daily.
Yes. Yeah.
And they are protective of that.
Very much so. A lot of them
they take
very
almost like ownership. Like this is not just, this isn't Tim's team. This is also my team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our team.
It's important to have that as well. And so it's also important to allow your team to get to that point where they know that their contribution is recognized and appreciated. And I make an absolute routine habit of making everyone aware of that as well. Richard Branson, he's a fantastic guy. There's been a number of times where other building companies or people offer all my core team roles and they're like, no, I'm good. And they tell me about it and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, thank you so much for that. Yeah. How can we develop your career more? Yeah. We have a non-negotiable in Kai Konstruct. You must be personally developing yourself in your career and yourself personally all the time. Whether we offer that or you take that on board, that is a requirement. And I lead by example. You know how many books I listen to because of my drive.
But you also do you go and listen and spend time with mentors, bigger thinkers,
like-minded business owners, all of it. You got to lead by example.
What do you call it? Masterminds. Yeah.
Constant education.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very important. Yeah. To stop, I think if you ever stop doing that, there's so many other ripple and flow-on effects because of that. Not just,
exactly.
I've learned enough, I can manage where we're at. It's good.
It is a big fear factor of training your team to be so efficient and understand your business to the point where you don't know every single detail facet of your business. And if they leave, what would happen? We'll just focus on the culture and the inclusion of your team and trusting them to do what they do best. Yeah. And if they decide to get a better opportunity, great. For me, I'm like, great, I've helped them on what they want to do next. And then it'll be a hard time of replacing them. Not that I don't think it's ever going to happen, but it's like you should be okay as a business owner helping and growing that person for their own journey. Because the Kai Konstruct's building journey is inherently Lauren and mine's to start with, but it's also now become all of our team's journey as well. And then I'm like, this is where we're all going. This isn't about me anymore. That stopped many years ago. This is now about where all the team's going. How can this all provide opportunities for you individually? Yeah. And that's important.
That opportunity thing's a big thing because not everyone wants money. Not everyone is just chasing more money.
No. Money I found is like right down here. Yeah. It's still a necessary,
people have to live.
Exactly. Yeah. There's still that necessary thing. But I think that is low on the list if you can check a lot of other boxes that we've been working on. Yeah.
Tim, another question I want to raise with you, I'm interested to hear how you go about answering it, is how do you go about achieving, or how does a builder how do you achieve a successful outcome in a project?
I firmly believe now that as a client choosing a builder, it needs to be as early as possible in the process.
Why is that?
Because they provide just so much value if the right builder and the right process is followed. Sometimes, and a lot of the time we get called to get brought into a project and it's right at the end.
End being where?
Like working drawings, It's all signed off. This is exactly the home we want. We just now need to get a price so we can get going on site.
To price it.
Yeah, we'll go tender it. When we don't tender as a company, that's just how it is.
They're coming in.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So
at the end, which is not ideal.
Coming in at the end, not ideal, because your builder can't add any value.
Yeah.
We provide the most value by being brought in. We actually sometimes most of the time get chosen before they've started the design with their building designer. They may not have had a building designer, or they know someone that wants to design their home. So can you work together? 100%
Can
we
you
do.
point out why that is important? Why it is so valuable that someone comes to you first? The reason I want you to articulate that is because I think there's going to be a lot of say consumer clients out there that might listen to this, or some of our builders might use this podcast to share with them, so to educate them on that. But a lot of builders that I talk to sometimes struggle articulating why they should be brought on first.
Yeah.
Why you should pay for that consultation.
Yeah.
And consulting along that early part of the journey, why you should pay for a quote, and they get bogged down in that. And so it's like, no, I'll just quote the project once it's designed.
Yeah, and they don't want to be involved in all of it.
And there's just so much opportunity lost there.
Yeah,
lost control, So why is it so valuable?
So
to the client, why you come on first?
Firstly, James, this is a very contentious issue, as I'm sure you've probably got feedback on sometimes of like supporting the builders, the D&C process. For our business model, for what we do in Kai Konstruct, it works well. Being brought in, and by being brought in is like have an initial conversation with the builder to make sure that you have a good rapport together, that they understand your values, and so that the builder can understand your project. There is so much valuable input from an on-site perspective that can be provided to the building designer, and work with the building designer, work with the architect. And I've worked with both architect and building designer during the design phase. But the thing is,
what's been the response of the designer and the architect, having you there alongside them?
It's relationship based.
Okay.
And I say it like this, like I'm a professional builder, they're a professional architect or building designer. So my biggest value in my wheelhouse is how can we build this in the most effective, efficient way? And because we've seen things get built hundreds of times, we know what works and what doesn't. In also sometimes the feel of things. Aspects, sun studies, how a pool area is going to relax. Like architects and building designers train in that field, but they don't train in how to build it or cost it. Some have more acumen than others. And likewise with the builder, some have I may have more acumen in building design and architectural intent because of my relationship that I have with them, but it doesn't mean that I'm the building designer. So anybody that I work with from a consultant point of view, I say to them like, listen, this is your show in the concept stage. Like you're the building designer, you're the architect, draw whatever you want. If you need my input for it, I'm here. And I let the client know, this is the building designer's time to get what you're telling both of us on paper for then us to review and go through high level estimate, which is not a quote, that's a completely different topic. Of how can we build it? What will trigger it? Is there any sewer underground? What sort of structural things do we need to do? And we can talk to the engineer. Some building designers and architects, they do that as part of their engagement if the client goes to them first, and then we just provide costing input and take it from the next stage. Other people come to us going, listen, we want you to build the home. We don't have a building designer. Who could you recommend? Because we just want to follow your process. That is completely fine too. And so we reached out to a couple of building designers and architects that actually design the type of home that the client's after. We're not asking an architect or a building designer who designs one specific style to design and draw something completely different. And same with building. So it's a contentious issue. It depends on what type of industry you're in. I don't mind working with any consultant, whether it's an architect or building designer. We've just preferred to, as a building company, for what we're focusing on building in the residential space, is working with building designers with our clients to provide them the most value from our perspective and the building designers. So you still provide value as a builder in how it can be built and what you've seen to give to the client and the building designer. You're still not the one doing the lines on the paper. I provide heaps of feedback when the drawing gets done. Along those lines. But it's never to take away from what the client wants. Again, ego off the table. I think last time we talked about in Kai Konstruct, I don't care what we build, it's who we build it for and the outcome for them. So if they want something, we're like, you know what, I'll put it in my home, but I'm going to make it as good as possible with a quality finish to what you're after. So bringing the builder in is getting them involved in the conversation and working with them and the building designer or architect.
Yeah.
Because when it gets to the more detailed part, that's when our value starts coming in, because we understand costing, we know what our trades need, and then we generally take over the tail half, which is our prelim agreement side, from working drawings to contract and building. Don't forget too that as a builder, you spend more time with a client than anybody else. So as a client, if you're going, who should I talk to first? Doesn't mean you're not going to work with the building designers to do the plans, but you're working with that person for the duration of the project.
Okay.
And that's why the tender process, in my opinion, doesn't work.
Break that down. So for some of the guys, I think they're stuck in that tender process. They're always going up against other builders. And they can't even comprehend the idea of charging for a quote. Because the other 2-3 guys who are tendering, they're not charging. And so you're kind of left on the back foot. Talk us through why a tender versus
the difference between
tender versus negotiated tender, and also negotiated tender paying for that service. Seeing it as a service.
Well, firstly, let's just define what any builder providing a service is. Like us as Kai Konstruct, we are a professional builder. Like we are just as integral to the build. Well, we are integral to the building process because we build it, but we are just like any other consultant. We're a professional building company that has experience and a team that provides input and value past what all our clients pay us. And they've told us all the time, what we thought was expensive, you saved us tenfold, and we haven't even started construction.
Wow.
So that can be measured on many different levels of both decision fatigue and just knowing that they're making the right decision and like the what ifs at the end. So there's two things. Paying for a quote, I think you should be paid as a professional consultant just like anybody else, because you're providing a service. We provide a service. And so the tendering process in that respect, I feel doesn't work because, one, if I'm getting paid to work with someone to do their dream home for their family, right at the initial concept stage, working with the building designer, and then the preliminary build agreement that we have a set process around that, is that I have more skin in the game as a builder. Anybody, not just me, just anybody. We put way more focus because we're getting paid as a professional for our time.
From day one.
From day one. And our clients know that every decision or thing that we're recommending is for their best interest. Tender scenario, and I have been there early on and done it, it's free. When you don't value your time, you put less detail into it, and it's all based on a number. No quote is ever apples for apples. And I've asked plenty of builders and friends of mine that build in the industry, and every single builder builds differently. And when you are focusing on an end result figure, and then some clients only meet their builder if they're going through that tendering process at contract signing. Hi, here's your builder. They were the best price. They don't know anything about why you want to build the home, who your kids' names are, what Rex the dog wants, all the rest of it. They're just here to build your product. And that comes right back to the first thing of like, everyone gets it initially to just build the structures. It's cool to build things. Our component is that next level down of understanding why, and that emotional side of just like, we want to understand exactly why JP wants to build his home. Not that I'm $100,000 more, but there's no apples for apples. And when the clients get given 3 tenders, if I gave you 3 different quotes, like no disrespect,
no,
but
totally,
but would you be able to understand the difference?
No way. To me,
in what's actually getting put into the home.
No. To me, and this is something I try to help our builders work with, understanding why they need to move to negotiate tender and getting paid for that, but then they have trouble articulating it. And they jump back into, okay, we'll just do it for free. But it's like, I can't tell the difference. It's 4 walls and a roof. You said you can do it. They said they can do it. They said. So even if it's 10 grand less,
I've looked on Instagram, they've built before, I would just go ahead.
Right. And if it's 5 grand, I've heard guys losing jobs with 5 grand.
See, I find that just perplexing. Hey?
And it's like, well, because of the lack of education I've been given and the process as a prospective client. It's like, oh, I can't trust that guy because he's trying to make more money out of me. That is how it's presented to me, the information. You can all do the same thing, but you're just trying to get more money out of me.
And generally it comes down to the allowances when you really dig deeper. And I've done a lot of...
But I don't know how to read that.
Exactly.
I go to the last page.
But JP, I like me analysing quotes of builders on projects. I've done a quantity of surveying course as well as doing building. And I still trying to look through like, how did they... What's included in that? Sometimes it can be really vague. So if I struggle to understand, sometimes I get sent quotes from friends of mine because I don't build for friends generally. It's like, what's in here? I'm like, I can't actually tell you, and I know because it's not laid out specifically how we would.
Not because I don't.
I'm not
good at what I do.
No,
it's not
like
said there.
Cabinetry, 5 grand. Is that your kitchen? Is that your vanity? Is that still like, you know? Man, so it's just it's apples for apples, and clients need to be very well aware from that. Again, contentious issue. It's like, well, you're keeping the builder honest. Well, if you're working with the team that you want to work with, 9 times out of 10, the client doesn't talk to the building designer or architect. 9 times out of 10, not all the time. Once construction starts. So go, here's your builder, have fun, like please build my design. That is completely fine too. But it also means that because that's their engagement, they designed it, the builder goes and builds it. The client then has to work with someone that they've just met for a year, 2 years. And that's why right at the start, I care about who I build with, not what I build. Yeah. And that comes from experience. Yeah. So I always caution clients, go, hey, we love Kai Konstruct as a builder, but we've been told to go to the tender process. And I go, you know what, that's completely fine if you're working with that person. But if you'd like me to be involved, we have a fee for service, whether it's a tender process or not. I'm happy to still be involved, but it requires like 3 or 4 meetings minimum so I can understand the project, even if it's fully specified and all that. Because there's the other thing is I've got everything selected. I've got full plans. Just let me know how much it's going to be to build it. Go, well, that's fine, but there's all iterations within those items that require addressing.
Food for thought. I just think a lot of businesses can learn from that process. For the type of business, type of people in the business, if you care. If you care about the people you're going to work with, if it's relationship based.
Yeah, and remember, JP, this works and we've been very deliberate in how we run Kai Konstruct. It's a proven process that works for the type of clients that we work with, that we want to work with, and the process that they're looking for. And like the type of clients that would come to us, we build for business professionals.
Okay, before you jump into that, let me ask that question clearly stated. So, because one thing I want to talk about is marketing, and marketing is obviously that's what we do. It's what we help you with.
I love working with you guys on it. Yeah,
thank you. We love working with you.
Yeah,
it's so important to be clear, and that's something like I swear we mention almost like every podcast, every second podcast.
You do, because I listen to all of them.
Are you clear on who you want, who the ideal client is?
Yeah,
you guys have worked very hard on becoming super clear.
Yeah,
like crazy clear. Which shows in everything. Who do Kai Konstruct build for?
From the journey that we've come to building for anybody to now, our team and Lauren and I personally love building for business professionals, whether it be medical, corporate, sporting professionals in their field that are time poor, value their time, value other people's time, and rely on our expertise to guide them through the process, because they want to ensure that they have one point of contact because their lives are busy enough. Like you think of family life, business life, I'm like thinking about Lauren and mine's life, and then you add building onto it as well. The stresses around it, both the financial commitment, I need to move out of my house if we're doing a large scale reno, or we're going to knock down the house we live in, go live in an Airbnb. Are they going to be on time, all the rest of it, and then move back into the home? That's just another layer on top of what many people already right now have, this crazy lifestyle.
They're already out there.
They're already at it, you know? And well, sounds like a broad category, but because we only build on the Gold Coast and the hinterland, most of them come to us because we've built for their friend. I don't know how they managed to fit a build into their crazy lifestyle, but they said it was a really enjoyable experience. Can you help us with the same outcome? Some people are overseas. Some people start construction, fly overseas, and just let the project management software update them, which is what it's there for. Or they're interstate and they move up. And like I remember one vividly, both corporate professionals about to retire, moving up to Carrara, beautiful place on the golf course. And I met them at handover in person. We did the whole thing virtually, did video walkthrough, things like that. So that's who we build for, because we've learned and worked on how Kai Konstruct operates to help those people specifically, where they want to know that, hey, if I check out for a month, they have confidence in who we are in our team to deliver that project. So that's who we build for, specifically.
Because that's something that we have seen become clearer and clearer and clearer.
Yeah, and that was
the years working.
That's a really good point, James, because like first story dev, Corner and Andre, you know the story, and just didn't really know. Like I loved the building part.
Back then it was, I want to build for families.
For families.
Which is still quite broad.
Which is very broad, right? Everyone's got a family. I got a fur baby family, you know, like whatever that is. But then it's like, but it was still mainly the building component. I want to build great things. And now it's like this shift of like, we want to build with a certain type of people who want a certain type of outcome, because that's what we're passionate about.
Just the clarity you've given to that person and their life, understanding their life.
Yes.
I think makes all the difference, because then all the marketing and the messaging and the stories we tell are stories similar to that for them to resonate with, and for them to see that this is the path, the builder. If I meet and tick enough of those boxes, which means when they do come to you, they're ticking all those boxes.
It's interesting you say that, like over that period, refining, and again, happened organically, of where you just subconsciously want to take your business. And for Lauren and I, we sat down and like, who have we built for the past 4 years? That was a great experience for them and for us, and that our values aligned. It's like business owner, medical professional, surgeon, business owner, corporate, expat overseas. And we're just like, hang on a second, there's a pattern here. So why don't we just focus that down? And then we watched all that, watch the Kai Konstruct YouTube channel and just watch every single client testimony. And I'm like, business owner, that was a really fun time. We just reminisce. It's just so much fun for us personally. We do the videos for us and just like, because it's a great journey. And then that's just been refined where it's like, well, we love building for it. And then our whole entire business within Kai Konstruct is geared for those people to give them the best experience and outcome of what I now know they value and is important to them. And it's not the dollar value necessarily. No. So it's all about the service and experience and handing over on time. And as you know, we haven't missed one yet.
Yeah, I think that's incredible.
So we're still on that.
Maybe walk us through the Kai Konstruct process, because I think you guys have a fantastic process. We know people have gone through that process with you guys and have loved it. We've interviewed many of them, and you guys have kind of walked through that process now yourselves, kind of proofing it.
Yes.
Talk us through that. So what is the process, and also how have you guys recently walked through that yourselves?
So our process, we've structured it. We've got it to the point where it suits our clients, where it starts with an initial consult, where have a phone call, find out about their project. Sometimes they have plans, sometimes they don't. It's fine either way. We provide the most value at the start, like we talked about, and we come to decide if it's a large-scale renovation, or they come to our office if it's a knockdown rebuild, and we go over the dynamics of the project and some factors that we can see, and just find out a little bit more about why they want to do it as well. And again, who they are, not just necessarily the project type itself. And then we go, okay, well, we understand the project more. From a concept design, we will go, here's the concept design agreement. It is a fee for service, but we run through, if you don't have plans, here are 2 different quotes from 2 different building designers that we've worked with. We can build off their drawings and they have a good rapport to get you what you're after in the style of home that you want. Yeah. And then here's our component, and here's everything we're going to get to at the end. So at the end of the concept design agreement, we've understood your project, and then we go through and go, okay, here's an estimate, high level ballpark, a low, mid and high of what you've told us you're after without plans of where we think the project would sit. Here's all our past projects to help them identify with sort of what they can expect around that. Yeah. And then they have their concept plans done to that design that they're after. So the ideas in their heads and the conversation we had is now on paper, and we've looked on and reviewed with them to that point. My thing is we want the minimum amount of investment with the design pre-construction process, but with a maximum amount of information. So whether you're self-funding the project or getting finance for the project, at the end of the concept stage, you have a good indication of the plan, the size of the home, and actually how much it would cost to go and start organizing, well, how much do we need to finish it? The next step is what we call the preliminary build agreement. Okay. So we already know what it is, rough cost, how long. We're going to dive now into the detail of getting engineering. So everything we need to know to hold it up and hold it down, like hold it in the ground and hold it out from blowing away. And then also the working drawings, which is the more detailed documents for all the information we need to then provide a very detailed proposal on how much it would cost for Kai Konstruct to build this. Yeah. So we work through that, get the certifier sorted, any other consultants that we need to bring in, if they've come to us from the start, to get to a point at the end of that preliminary build agreement, they have a fixed price proposal, a bunch of meetings refining and making changes to value add to the project, and a full set of documents to then go and start construction, get finance. And they've had one point of contact the whole way. Right. They don't need to worry about who do I get for this, who do I get for that. It's just clearly laid out, all very open with the costs and what they need to do. But they know that all of it's been overseen by our construction team that do it every single day.
I can see why, when you talk about how you do it like that, why it is so valuable to your ideal client. Because of their professional, time poor, value you as an expert, because they're an expert in their space. Yeah, great alignment there.
And the great thing too is, because it's in 3 stages, the clients don't have to commit to the full amount right at the start. It's like, let's just do the initial consult and understand what the project is. Then let's just do this step. Let's do concept agreement. Sometimes we get to the initial consult and go, listen, we love the input. We've been more informed about it. What we want to do, we're just going to put on hold for a year. I had plenty of them. That's fine. They also come back in a year's time and go, okay, we're ready to do the concept agreement. Sometimes we'll get to the end of the concept agreement side with the building designer and getting all of it on paper, ideas on paper, and go, this is how much it's going to cost. This is how long it's going to take. Okay, we'll go ahead now. Or we've got so much information of what we need. We're going to now save up for that, or we're going to work out when it's best to move out or knock down the home. And they can continue on from that. So at no point have they lost any value or paid for more than they're not going to get back.
Wow.
And so when they're ready to start, they just do the prelim build agreement. 9 times out of 10, people who come to us right at the end going, can you price our home? We love how you build. They've been through those 3 steps, but with lots of different people to get to that point.
And they're already exhausted.
And they're exhausted. They're over it. They've paid too much for this. They shouldn't have paid for that before they even got to this point.
Yeah. And you wonder why they find it so hard to sign the final agreement or to get it there, because it's like, man, that was hard.
Yeah, they're exhausted. I'm like, oh, now we have to build it.
Yeah.
But not only that, it's like it's a story vividly. Last year, they waited over that turmoil point in the building industry, completely understandable. They came to us, they go, listen, we've been 2.5 years in design. It's perfect for what we want. We've spent over 150 grand on all of this design and everything like that. Yeah, I know. And I was just like, I could just see where this was going. Not from an egotistical point of view. I'm like, oh man, I'm just like, so 2.5 years in design, had to organize everything themselves. It was a beautiful design. I loved it. It was $1.1 million over budget, JP.
Could have guessed that.
And so obviously, it's like, well, the builder's too expensive. No, you only had input from a builder and you've paid all of that money, engineering. It was building approved. It was everything. And so they go, we're just going to have to find a builder who can build it for the, and I'm like, respectively, you need to look at this redesign process and it will cost more money to get what you want. It is achievable. I can see it. Here's a few points for you. You can come back and we can do the prelim build agreement, which is, we started the prelim build agreement with our clients if they have concepts from a building designer. And sometimes they've just found us going, oh, we just found you guys. We're in halfway through design. Like, well, let's work with your current team and let's fill in the gaps. Plenty of times are we in that point, or a building designer reaches out going, oh, you guys do this. I don't have an option, or like, I like for you guys to build my design with the clients, and we have a meet and greet and see if it works.
Great.
Very open to that. Awesome. But you don't want to be the person ringing any builder at the end and investing all that time and mental capacity only to be told it can't be done. So that's why we stick to our proven process. Because we want to value
that happening a lot lately.
It is, yeah.
Like doubling budgets.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe because of what's happened in the industry over the last while, issue of trust. Designers have no issue with trust.
No.
They're just, I'm just here to listen and draw and design amazing.
And to be fair too, sometimes they're not giving guidance on what the project investment is. Oh, we'd like this. And so they draw it.
It's potentially not their area of specialties.
Either like they're not there to provide the building costs. That's what we are for. Yeah. We're not there to design home. That's their expertise. But at the same time too, sometimes if they're not given enough guidance or the questions aren't answered for the building designer or architect, they're drawing what they've been told too. So it's good to have that guide going through it, going, have we considered this in the build? And that's just what we provide the clients and the building designer feedback on it. Not to butcher design or change the intent, but how can we be really economical with everything you don't see so we can have all the beautiful finishes in your home?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Wow.
So you think of a client that has gone to a tender process. They've spent all of this journey on their own, gone through a tender process, and they're choosing a builder on cost, or they may not even choose the lowest cost because, of a certain reputation. That's completely fine too. And then you get to know your builder from site start. And then during construction and working out all the rest of it, how do you communicate? What's your process? All the rest of it. Compared to a client that's been with us from the start, we saw them on the block a year ago, now we're starting construction, and all the conversations, getting to know them getting to know us, explaining our whole entire process, them visiting our current job sites, here's how we do things, to the point where our client type specifically, when we start building, like, okay, so we're going to meet up, it's like, you know what, just let me know when the roof's on. Yeah. Because they've already seen how we build. And then suddenly the stress and the added factor we talked about on busy lives is reduced dramatically because they go, you know what, my builder has my back. They're my guide. Wow. They're experts in what they feel, and I feel really confident in how we do it. And it's very rare to hear that in the industry of a builder's got my back, because of just the stigma in all of it.
Big time.
But you never hear about the great results. We have them all the time with our clients. Yeah. And so...
Yeah. I would say that's my frustration a little bit with some of these, might be speaking out of turn here, with some of these home design shows, it's right at the end. And it's on the product, which is amazing. Yeah. But there's not enough story told.
During construction?
Yeah. And not so much, like when I say during construction, I mean like how the builder continually had the client's back. Yeah. And all they had to do to get it to why that television network wanted to show it the final product.
There is that in a lot. There's a great TV show, because I'm a part of it actually, like Renovate or Rebuild. Okay. That you go back and watch all their seasons. Yeah. We just finished filming like one last week. Yeah. They're great at telling the story before construction. Are you going to renovate or rebuild? Good. And they followed us for a whole entire year with the client. And I can't wait to see it come out. But it's like, that's a true indication of building. Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't all go like to plan, and compromises need to be made, or pivoting during construction needs to happen. Yeah. But I agree, and more of that needs to be shown. Like the duck on the pond scenario that we keep joking about every single time we catch up. Like, how's it going? Everything looks really smooth and going. I'm like, it is crazy. We're all like... You know what? But you know what? That's what we are engaged to do. Yeah. To make the process feel smooth. And there's always, it's construction. Yeah. Everyone needs to be okay with sometimes it doesn't go to plan, but here's the solutions around what we're going to do, and here's what I would recommend we do moving forward. Definitely. Clients don't have to worry about the problem. They've got 2 solution options, our recommendations, they make the choice informed. Yeah. That is key. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what isn't shown on a lot.
Yeah. I think that says huge amounts in terms of where you provide a lot of value. I know Andre and I have talked about on other podcasts about that system 1 brain, system 2 brain.
Totally.
He's raised with you.
Yeah.
So if all that work under the surface that Duck's doing is for the client to make that next decision that needs to be made is just easy. It's clear. They're educated right up to the point where that decision needs to be made. It just flows. It's like, that makes sense. I have confidence in that being the right decision. And you taking lead on that, go for it. And things can keep rolling. Things can be smooth and meet deadlines and it's enjoyable versus, so we've snagged this problem. What do you think? We can do anything. We can do anything you want. You just tell me what you want to do.
There's this meme on socials that I saw. A friend of mine sent me. He's got like construction meetings. He's got actors like, what do you want? And the client's like, I don't know. But then it's like a normal conversation. Like, we can do this. And the client's just glazed over. It's not their responsibility. Provide the solution. Often all the solutions we're giving our clients for like building technicalities or like trying to optimize, we can do it better. We've spent like days internally as a team, Jamie's input, April's input, my thought, I've done it this way before when I was doing this sort of development, and we put it through, and then we're like, and here's the 2 options. But it's taken us 4 days to get to those 2 options. But the client's busy enough as it is where they go, that, and I explain that to our clients at the start. They go, okay, well, at least they know that these 2 solutions have been thought about and approached in a manner of detail. Then they can make that decision and know that either one's still good. It's their personal preference and what they want to take.
Yeah, that's where the value comes in, why you would invest more with one builder over another.
Because they understand you personally.
And a lot of that, you kind of put on back So if you go back to the tender process, all that, you will never know on paper.
No, exactly.
Even if you try to write it down and I read it, it's not going to hit.
Yeah, you might have a meeting with the builder and go, can you just explain your build process, have a meet and greet at that. That's not enough time for a 2-year commitment or a year commitment when there's often multi-millions of dollars at stake there. It should be all relationship based. Like someone asked me, like, why do you have this certain process that you go through and checking it off? And I'm like, it sort of came from Lauren and I doing our own renovation after we built it. It was like we built it at the start of Kai Konstruct, and then Lauren has this beautiful like selection in this feel that she wants her home to be. Very much a homebody. It's really cool. And when we did our own renovation, we hadn't fully nailed this process. And so I said, we can do a reno. That's fine. What do you want to do? And I'm like, I actually don't know. Like maybe a new kitchen, and we can do this, and we can build the deck. And then like looking back, going through it, I'm like, we had no budget. Very big mistake when Lauren and I are involved in a project. It was like an open on the BOQ, and the team's like, so we're ordering this now and this now. And it went from replacing just the kitchen to just everything internal and external and external. Full repaint, kitchen, wet areas. We'll do the windows now. We like the colonial batten ones because it's going to be great for the farmhouse because it's very American farmhouse inspired. We should do oak floors. Let's do that. Let's do cabinetry and do this. And then we get to the end of it where I'm like, okay, let's just press the go. But we didn't know the full cost and we hadn't gone through all the consultants and all the rest of it. And I'm sitting there, I remember we were living in a caravan for 5 months over winter. Wow. We had a 5-year-old. Lauren was pregnant halfway through, and I ripped the kitchen out 6 weeks early because I scheduled it. You schedule your own stuff. I can fit it in between these 2 projects. And then Jamie's like, we need to focus on this for the next month. I'm like, no problem. And then I came home like, Lauren's like, we don't have a kitchen. And so we were living in this like zip-walled bedroom. It was an experience.
Yeah. No doubt, a lot of learning.
And a lot of learning, right?
Yeah. Because you take your clients through an amazing process, but then you didn't put yourself through it. So
and then actually reviewing it back, I remember one winter's morning, it was like 4 a.m. It was blowing a gale on the farm. Lauren's in this bedroom. The whole entire house is gutted, and we're going to the caravan because we didn't want to sleep in the caravan with the 3 of us on a 1-bedroom bed in a caravan. And I'm walking out blowing a gale. I'm like, this feels like when I was on the oil rigs, like, it's like blowing, you know what I mean? I'm like, what am I putting my family through? And we laugh about it now, just going, you didn't schedule our project. We didn't have a budget. It's a beautiful outcome. But Lauren's like, what if people do their build process and they're not the builder? And so many people have that experience where someone's like, I don't know how long my project's going to take, but they said it would cost this much. We schedule our project so we understand what the cost is. And so our clients have both in turn. And I tell that story to our clients and they just think we're nuts with it. But it's like, and that's why we have the process. So you don't have to experience what my wife and son and now baby girl had to experience personally from it. So it's all these learnings along the way, JP.
Always learning.
It's a bunch of fun.
One thing I'm really excited to talk to you about, because we've been working with you for so long, your mindset around marketing. What is it? How do you see marketing working alongside a building company? And why is it important?
So my definition sort of shifted over over all this time working with you guys. Your process is very much like my process, getting to know clients. You got to know me, and then you delivered an exceptional on-point product for me to implement.
Okay.
So it's not just video, like saying to the boys, like all these different media companies keep ringing me. I don't know how they get my freaking number, but they're like, hey, we can do great fly through videos and all the rest of it. I'm like, have you seen all my videos? And like, yeah. I'm like, do you see the one logo at the bottom of it? It's like, yeah. I'm like, has it changed? No, we don't think so. I'm like, that's right. Because they don't get me.
Yeah.
They're like, and respectively, you know, so you guys take the time to find that out, which is the important part. It's the same thing what we do with our clients.
Yeah.
So just offering a video, we can do $1,000 for a project, and we're like, you get tempted for a little bit. I'm like, $1,000? That sounds pretty good. But there's no value in it. Yeah. I personally find no value in that. Yeah. Because I'd rather work with a team that understands my building business, know me and Lauren personally, you know, and that's evolved over our relationship.
Oh, yeah.
But you have a marketing approach for a building company specifically, I feel, needs to be done from a company that understands the industry and gets to know your business, like at the level and depth that you guys do with story development. I think we've had 3 story developments over the years, and it's also helped define my business each time we've done it together.
Yeah. And I think you care a lot about it, which is great. I mean, one thing I want to maybe touch on and hear from your side is this amazing partnership. We love working with you, love working on new creative ideas, and you're open to new ideas all the time.
Yeah.
But what are some of the things that you feel that you've done really well on your side to make, because we're not a vending machine, we're not a silver bullet.
Yeah.
We believe in what we do, and we know we do it very well for the right type of builder. And when I say right type of builder, it's like, okay, well, what's going on their side?
Yeah.
For when you're plugging us in, it to work well. What are some of the things that you found that you've done on your side that have made this partnership work really well?
Using the assets, like the video assets and the client stories and the experiences that they have with us, and weave it into everything that we do. And when I say everything, from the initial consult all the way through, even during construction, that stuff's happening. Yeah. Like obviously we have a lot of assets, but regardless of them, whether you have one video or I've failed to count how many we have together, but it should be woven within your business and your brand and who you are in every single opportunity that you can. It needs to be used on socials. It needs to be used within your sales process.
Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah, like initial phone call, like people normally get sent our overview video, which has just been updated. Yeah. Which I'm pumped with. You guys absolutely crushed it again. But, you know, even watching the original one and then now where Kai Konstruct is, it's still us. So it doesn't really matter the stage of your building business, but you shouldn't expect video and marketing to scale your business and grow without you having zero input or using it within your business to define what you do.
Yeah, some of the guys we work with, we'll hand them their stories. Yes, we're running BV Amplify for them, running ads for them, all of that. And then I'll have a catch up and it's like, cool, I'll pull up their website and it's like, man, you've had your stories for a couple months now. Yeah. There's nothing on your website. You know, have you asked your web developer or that to upload it? Or have you been through our distribution program, which we've handed to you? And it's like, oh no, what's that? And it's like, well, video 1 says, go now and put it on your website. Yeah. This is how you do it. Or contact your web developer and get it up. Yeah. And then, there's that whole, you know, all those steps we recommend putting in place. And so, it's, I guess what I'm saying is it's great to work with you and our clients that understand this is a partnership and to get the best outcome we're both putting in. Yeah. Yeah. It should be a commitment from both sides. Like you commit a lot of your time, very little of our time during production and that whole entire process of actually building that video and creating that phenomenal stories that you guys do. And then it's the fishy thing though, again, which is what I love about your brand and your business, is that you have, if you do certain amounts of input after you get it, the output has been huge, but it's almost delayed. And with building, it's such a long lead time in sales, design, even the build process. It's not like this overnight e-commerce store, and you can't view it like that. Unfortunately, you know, we've Instagram, instant, Uber Eats, Amazon, like all of that. That's not marketing in a building company. It's like a ship that moves at 20 knots, but at 24 hours a day, it's going to get there eventually. It's just a little bit slower, but as long as you have that direction, you're going to be driving that in one direction, not scattergun. I'll put it up here, put it up there. You do need to use it. I am guilty of not using the first time, 100%, of not implementing because I'm like, I'm super busy and all that because you generally don't have the team and it's yourself doing it. I'm very fortunate with the team that I have and I understand WordPress and we've got a good web development to implement it, but you have to implement it and use it. And you should be proud of putting that out there as much as often. You and the team. And you know what? Every single video that gets, you know, we go have the preview link before it goes live. I post it in the WhatsApp chat of like, here's the new video, just so my team can see it before anyone else. I like that. And they just like, they love it because I'm like, we're a part of this. And I keep telling them, this is not about just me. This is not about just Lauren and the idea that we have. This is this beautiful family that's working towards creating that. Like, little things like that are so key. And so that's kind of what I want to have this conversation about. some of those little things that you do, like showing it to your team first says that they're the most important in terms of the butterfly effect of who's going to see it.
Definitely.
One thing we recommend is once you've got them, because so often it's like, oh, cool, we've got our stories, our videos, boom, post it on social media and we're done. And it's like, that comes later.
Yeah.
Show your team first.
Yeah.
And then,
I ask all of them, specifically my core team, I ask, like, give me your feedback. Yeah. Because you're a part of this. What did you like about it? What do you want to be proud of it? Yeah, 100%.
You ultimately want them to then share it on, say, their socials and that.
Yeah.
But then we look at things like, make sure it's up on the website so the next person that goes there can see it. And then start to push it out specifically to individuals or groups. It might be prospective clients. It might be your trades and suppliers. But it's showing those people, hey, you're important. Yeah. We wanted to send it to you before we sent it to every Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Yeah, definitely. This inner community. Yeah.
And it just changes the way those relationships are.
Yeah.
And we've heard from our guys direct feedback where, I've told the story before, but, their Reese rep, they just, for them, that scenario was more on just their email signature and the Reese rep. Yeah. Clicked on it and phoned them straight away and said, what, that's what you guys do?
Yeah, totally.
I had no idea. I've been fulfilling these POs for you guys for the last couple of years and I had no idea that's what, so all of a sudden that relationship is so much stronger, more emotionally engaged.
Yeah.
And now they're getting personal preference. Now they're getting, favors. Now they're getting all that sort of stuff, purely because they went and planted it. So just from that feedback, we now recommend our guys, don't wait for someone to click, take it to them. Send it to, if you've got trades or suppliers that were specific to a project and we've done a case study, and that's why I'm keen to hear your thoughts on case studies, but send the case study firstly to those individuals that were involved in that project.
Yes.
And say thank you for being a part of this.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you're inviting them in the story. They feel more included, more involved, more important.
Definitely.
And it's going to strengthen that relationship and bond that you have with those people to then fulfill the outcome on the next project. But jump on case studies. Why do you keep doing case studies? Because you've got a library of case studies. Yeah. But you still create more.
Yeah. Why? Yeah, definitely. Not necessarily because we need to, because of the community and referral base that we have, but because we want to still share it. With the case studies, the first people I share it to is team, trades that were involved, and then straight after that, clients we're currently building with. Hey, here's a great result we finished last year, moving in. I can't wait to share your story. Yeah. And they're like, oh, I love that, blah, 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 and it creates that rapport and gives them certainty as well. The case studies, like Grant Cardone says, it's like, I advertise for myself first, my team, existing clients, and then everyone else later. Yeah. And that's sort of what you're doing when you put out your case studies and your overview videos. Like all of that's for Lauren, myself, and my team first. And you go, well, ultimately, let's just be realistic. We want to actually be able to document the journey that our building company has been on and share that with others about the experience that can happen in an industry that's very negatively geared. So it's important to do that. It builds our trade community, our core trades, our core suppliers. We use the same team over and over and over to be able to create value, consistency, and deliver what the Kai Konstruct product is known for in the industry. Yeah. And by sharing that builds that community like your rep. Some builders, myself included when I was project managing, I didn't meet the rep for 2 years, but we did millions of dollars worth of transactions. It was transactional. Yeah, yeah. Our approach within our team that we build is connected and connection with that as well. Because I want to support their family businesses. And we do work with mainly just family businesses that are organized just like us, but family businesses because they have the same ethos as us. Yeah. Your community network, you've put a lot of time and effort into that and leaning on that. One thing that we, I was talking to one of our builders, at the moment, awesome, just good thinker, good operator. And he reached out to a whole bunch of architects, pre-Christmas, like 60, specific email to those guys who he thought he could align with and got 20 responses. And so he's busy booking meetings in with that. And I was like, that's fantastic because the marketing that we're doing, we're trying to get in front of those people, but you've just fast-tracked it by getting directly in front of them. You're putting your story video in front of them. Wherever that link then goes, we've pixeled that. Cool. Now, all those 60 people that open that email, watch that video, you're going to be showing up in their world. Yeah. But now you're building a specific relationship with 20 who've shown interest. And how have you gone about building that network? And why is it so important? Very similar to that, organically. So a lot slower than probably what you implement with BB Amplify. But it's the same context. It's relationship building. 9 times out of 10, we are found through referrals. Yeah. The advertising is there for the point of just awareness and consistently showing up, like you said, which is important. Yeah. But you're specifically targeting the people that you want to work with, which also then defines how your business is and who you build for. So I think a great way of doing it. I like what you said there. So a lot of the work and interest and stuff and what's going on, you see it through referral base, but you still back it up with marketing. Yes. What would you say to some of the builders that sometimes we see that come on board with us, and I'd say it's on our fault, maybe a lack of education, where it's like, oh, cool, I've got this video. Now I'm going to step back. Yeah. And my whole world's going to change. Yeah. And I'm now going to take off the hat of responsibility. Yeah.
what would your response be to that?
That's almost like hiring a carpentry team, going, "See you later, boys, build the house," and still having no guidance or input for it. Okay. Like it's a vital component of any business, regardless of the industry, but you still need to maintain and inspect what you expect. So if you're not providing guidance and like direction of where you want that to go, it's like scattergun approach. Or you're going to focus once and have 5 times the penetration into what particular market area or demographic that you want to work with as well. ROI, super hard to, this is this big term of like, I'm spending all this money, I don't have any leads. I'm like, no, but you're probably building rapport with the clients that you're building with. If you're not, it's servicing someone, or your carpentry teams on the weekend looking on socials and seeing all the company that they work for on it is like reinforcing, I love being part of the company. So it's hard to determine what that value is when it impacts so many other areas apart from just sales. That's what I have personally experienced. And I'd encourage people to view it from that point as well. Not saying it's not a factor, but it's not the only factor in it.
Yeah, that's a very good point you raised there. Would you be open to answering the question of like, building is up and down?
Yeah.
You know, you've been consistent with marketing, but with ups and downs, it happens. Sometimes there's a lot of interest coming your way. Sometimes there's little interest.
Yeah.
What do you do mindset wise? And what do you do action wise, operationally, when things are quiet?
I think the more important focus from a business owner's perspective is to not react when it's quiet, but consistently operate in marketing, whatever form, whether it's paid advertising, organic advertising, or doing videos or pushing Instagram or Facebook and that whole entire world consistently. Whether you're flooded with inquiries, don't rest on your laurels. Like it's, you know, people have been following us for 2 years and they go, we've been following you for 2 years, we're finally doing Reno. If I showed up for 6 months out of that 2 years, do you think they'd have confidence in still reaching out? Like, are they still around? What are they doing? You know, sometimes I don't do a story for a week because I'm like hard pressed doing something, but something is happening in the background to make that happen. So it's not this ebb and flow of I've got heaps of work, I'm going to stop marketing. I've got no work, I'm going to quickly shift all my attention to that, which is the ebbs and flow of construction. It's really important to have that attention acumen of like keeping it consistent of some level of input consistently so that the ebbs and flows become actually less and then more consistent. And then it's never going to be flat. But it's going to be, it's not going to be like a roller coaster. It'll be like ebbs and flows with something that you can manage. That's important.
I know we talked about reacting versus responding.
Yes. Yeah. I hate reacting.
Knee jerk as opposed to, let me think about how I'm going to act.
I think every reactive decision that I look back on, I'm just like, I have to deal with that problem right now, as opposed to an opportunity to proactively approach a situation that you can see coming up. And just like from experience, I'm like, I'm going to act on that now and I'm going to give myself some time to think about what I'm going to do. And ultimately that decision is far better financially, experience wise, team wise, whatever that is, when it's thought about, not just like, oh, this happened, I have to deal with it right now. And then this happened, I have to deal with it right now. And then you're just burnt out in business because you're constantly reacting. It sometimes feels impossible to get in front of the ball in construction. I know from experience. But it's like allocating the time for yourself of being busy isn't necessarily being productive or effective. Allowing yourself as the owner of a building company to actually spend the time and go, okay, this morning, I'm going to think about just this marketing piece. I'm not going to look at my emails or anything, and I'm going to allow myself 2 or 3 hours as a business owner to address whatever issue. That's also why I'm not the client contact initially for every single project. I'm at every single meeting, but I can provide more value for our clients and our team if I can sit back and think about a problem going, we can actually add so much value if we do it this way, rather than we've got to make a decision in an hour and, you know, so it applies in all facets of business.
And when, we've been working together for a while, when you look at the relationship and just working together, what are some of the intangibles that you've experienced in this partnership outside of, let's say, the contract or the agreement we have in place or the videos we create, or what are some of those things that you see or experience?
I think that like the contract and the deliverables and all that, I'm like, yeah, let's sign the document, but it's more like the journey for me, and just being able to have a relatable conversation with people that care. And man, some of the stuff that you guys have done for Laura and myself, or just, you know, with Corne and Andre and the whole team, is just, there's so many other things outside of just a video relationship that I value more than just the videos. Everyone asks me like, why do you keep working with one company? It's like, because there's so many other layers to it that you go beyond in just, here's your video. There's so much more to it than that. And for builders who want clients to understand that as a builder, like for what they're doing for the clients, they need to actually understand that when they're engaged in a marketing company or any other person to help them with their business, it needs to be exactly what they're expecting their clients to understand. It's like, it's so many different levels.
Interesting you mention that, because we've had a lot of builders give us that feedback. It was like, because often they come on board and it's like they've never done this before, or they've done it one way in the past, and the whole reason they're doing it this way now with us is because it didn't work ideally. And we've had some clients that almost want to go like pull up shop and go, I don't know, let's just stop this, whoa, and like we haven't even filmed yet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I think that was me.
You'll be one of those. And it was just trust. Trust us.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times we go through that, and on the other end of that, coming out of it, they come back and go, thank you you for just pushing us that little bit to trust you. And it's been so insightful to just trust you, because that's what we're asking our clients to do. But we've never actually gone through on a journey like that ourselves. Wow, now that we've experienced it ourselves, it's going to change the way we communicate to our clients. Because now we understand that, at that point, there's probably going to be a little bit of trepidation, or is there enough confidence built so that we don't have anyone pulling up stumps before we get started, or during, or halfway through, or anything like that. Don't know where I was going with that. But
no, but the thing is, like,
feedback from you.
Well, you guys have always checked in. It's different check-ins now, but at the start, you always checked in around, are you confident with everything? Are you happy with what you need to do next? Which is nothing, by the way, because we're in production. So it's just like the constant check-ins on that process. And in a way, our process has sort of been derived from the process that we've been through with you guys, of like the story development is the getting to know part, and it defines it for yourself, as everyone who's worked with you knows. Very similar to what we do with our clients, just on a different aspect level. So I think anybody who wants to pull up stumps or anything like that is either doubting themselves and the decision they made, even if it's a good one, or they don't completely understand the positive impact it's going to have long term in what they're investing in. Because it is an investment, and in building companies that you have big investments all over the shop. I know I do when I look at my overheads, but at the same time, there's always going to be that long-term benefit and a relationship that you can lean on in not just videos, but like, hey, I have this idea. What do you think as well? There's been multiple times you and I have caught up going, I've got this idea. It sounds crazy. What do you think? And it's like, hey, man, we can do it like this, this, and this.
Well, and just before this podcast, we had an idea come up.
We just had a great, and it's going to be delicious too.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be good. And so that's cool collaboration. And it's got nothing to do with my business, nothing to do with your business. It's going to be a great conversation around it. So it's going to be good.
Yeah, man, I would love to do we've got a lot of great builders, a lot of great thinkers, guys like you that invest in personal development, and they think differently. They've really made that put in the hard work to shift from a practitioner, builder to a business owner. I'm pretty keen to get them all in the room one day.
I think that would be a very good, solid piece of just golden nuggets left, right, and center, because everyone looks, their perspectives like so different from it. Very blessed now in the position that Kai Konstruct is in, with the team that we have, that I can be so much more creative and be able to delegate with confidence, and the team does it like super fast and really efficient around it too. So I get to be in this creative space and adding value, and I've just found that that's what I love doing in my business, what I'm doing right now with our clients and everything around marketing and connecting in general. Some builders are like halfway there, where they have half the team, but they don't get to be in that space all the time. I'm not 100% of the time, but there's seasons with it. And so everyone has this great perspective of where they are in their journey in business on the same topic. And that's super powerful. And it's also good to have a community of builders that you can talk to and learn from and listen without any trepidation of what other people think.
Yeah. Huge, man. Huge. Well, let's make that happen then.
Yeah. I'll be keen for
that. Maybe for a story to finish up with. I know you've told us many great stories over the past. Some very direct impact stories of the videos we've created. You've implemented them, and then the effect that they've had on you.
So early on, and using the overview video, put it on the website, getting to know how to use video and get ourselves out there is what I distinctly remember. We were already in construction, so we'd already done the blindsided process that we now have super defined with them, and it's still a great outcome. We're halfway through, we're at rough-in stage, determining where all the taps and electrical fittings go. We had a site meeting, they rocked up, we're having this conversation, and they're just like, it's like they know that we have horses, that we live on a farm. Like,
so there's a clear shift all of a
sudden. It was this real shift of like, they trusted us, but is it still going to go okay? To they know us and they understand who we are, and we just had this great connection. And I'm like, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. Like, what, have you seen anything since we last, just skipping around the topic, but not actually asking questions. Like, we watched your overview video. It was fantastic. We love your family. We didn't know that Kai was the reason why we started Kai Konstruct. And it was just instant rapport. And then it was already going well, but the outcome was even better. because we could do and offer them so much more value, and they didn't feel it was coming from a place of you just want to do more work and make more money, which is that's just an end result, but we added more value. Now, that's one story. That was 4 years ago when we experienced it. The amount of times that has happened on site, or even meeting those clients interstate, first time at handover, or just midway through projects where people see a case study that they can really resonate with because they're that type of client with that type of project, it just reinforces everything for them. And obviously, because we're weaving it in with our process, because we want to educate people that want to work with us as early on as possible, that rapport is getting built during the concept and design stage.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was at the construction stage and during, because we never brought that information to our clients before they started working with us. Now people have been following us for 2, 3, sometimes 4 years that have seen the progression of Kai Konstruct and what we're really refining processes on. And it's just hey, we know your process. Can we book a meeting in? We're ready for this.
Wow.
Which is very polarizing for some people in the industry, just going, everyone just wants to price check.
Yeah.
So we have clients that are resonating with what we build and they understand our value. And I remember Jamie messaging me one afternoon. He's like, I've just come across this quote. I saw it on the back of a car. It represents exactly what Kai Konstruct is about. And he said, Tim, it's like quality saves more than it costs. And I just sat back and it's like, well, that's like really, why did we not think of that? But it's just like defined, like quality is just, it's so much value add, but that can be quality of workmanship, quality of communication, quality of design, quality of experience. You add all those together and that's something really, really unique. And that's what case studies and overview videos encapsulate and say it without saying it, if that makes sense. The visuals and the music and the commentary around it all. And the thing is, what some clients ask, was that case study scripted? I wasn't even there. The boys just rocked up. They could have said whatever they wanted to do. Yeah. And I don't think I've ever come to a case. I've come to one and then I'm like, I'll never come to one again.
We tell our builders stay away. Don't come near a case study. You can come for like 20 minutes once we're at the end of the whole shoot. But
there's been case studies that I've watched after they've been released and we've built for them for like 2-year construction process. Yeah. And I watched, like, there was one in particular early on and she's like, I just felt safe and comfortable with the team. It was the same faces every day and it was a really great experience. And I'm like, as a business owner, I didn't even click that would be a concern for the wife and mother of a family while we're doing a massive renovation with all these trades and, and because we have the same people on site every single day, she felt safe around that and trusted and was content in the outcome. And I'm like, well, that's something that they would never say to my face. Yeah. But my team can hear it and other clients can hear, this is how we operate as business, which is powerful in itself.
Very much so. As you've put Who's in place, it's allowed you the time and brain space to be more creative and think about, okay, where do I want to laser focus my energy and resources as an individual? One thing I've admired that you've done well is looking outside the business at who are other individuals that are really important. Like one example would be the buyer's agent, you networked with a while back, and that laser focus, it wasn't just a one email, it was several attempts to get their attention. What are some other key people that you were like, that's someone that I want to give more time to and foster that relationship because there could be great fruit that comes from that? Who's other examples and maybe how you went about that?
I think the first thing to think about is like, how do you define those people that you want to spend it with? And sometimes in one point of the business, you want to define those relationships with the other consultants that can help your clients and that you can help their clients. And so your focus would be on that component. I remember I did networking for 3 years straight. Every single Friday morning at 6:30 a.m. I drove and I sat and I networked with people from when I first started on the coast. And Lauren was like, why are you networking on the coast? We live on a farm out here. So, so that was the first 3 years committed to networking. And then suddenly you have all this network that you can then refine and go, these people help and serve my clients in the direction that I want to go. Obviously, Lauren and myself are directed in property, real estate development and building. So it's 3 years of networking, building those relationships, meeting all these different people. And then you're like, hey, maybe I can collaborate with these couple of people, and you foster that relationship. And then over time, like over the last 8 years, the amount of contacts in my phone book now compared to year 2 of business are vastly different. They're not just trades and suppliers now, they're a completely different set of professionals in their space and other people that can help promote my business. I can promote their business. But in every single relationship, I always say, how can I add value to them? And in turn, how can they add value to my client? And then I will get value from them just organically from it. But it's relationships, JP. You can't just email once and go, I tried.
Yeah. And I think I like what you said there, because some of the guys we'll talk to is like, we say, look, reach out, use these stories to reach out to architects.
Yes.
So often guys are like, I want work. Well, typically a designer's going to have work that's closer to finished than a client coming to you without designs.
Yes.
So that's one way to try and fast track it, even though we talk about B&C being for certain builders, giving them more control if that's what they want. But yeah, it's not reaching out to an architect and going, hey, what work do you have? That's just cold, and that's what can I get from this? Yeah. Where you talk to other builders that look at using software or outsourcing things to get a ballpark figure or QBEs and stuff like that.
Oh, like a quick build estimate and things like that. Yeah.
And they use that to reach out to architects. Hey, we have this amazing value add. If you work together, we can help give your design a quick, a ballpark or a quick building estimate to help keep it on track, to help your client build what you're designing.
Yes.
And that's providing value.
It's providing a solution.
Yes.
That should be every relationship that you approach, both personally and in business. Again, like very frugal with my time. And so the key people that I want to hang out with either need to add to my life personally, and I need to be able to add value to them. And also same with the team. Like there's certain sections of my day that are available and there's certain sections that they're not, because I'm providing value in other areas. So a lot of that comes down to consistency. Persistence pays. And when people pay, they pay attention. So persistence pays in regards to doing the same thing over and over and over again. And then when people pay you for your service, they're paying attention to what you have to offer and say. But that only comes from providing value. And those two quotes from my mentor when he said it were like 6 months later, I'm just like, people pay, they pay attention. Oh, so when I'm offering a service that is valued enough to be able to put a fee around me being a professional, I have to understand and be confident in myself as a person that I am a professional builder. I constantly work on myself, and I'm okay with actually expressing that. I'm like, hey, yeah, I work on myself, and I'm okay with it. I don't publicly announce it. I know we're talking podcast now about it, but it's like you need to have that self-confidence that what you do really well. And then you have that self-value to add value to clients, and clients see that 100%. Your team sees it too.
Have you had to work on articulating that? Because that's something I'm seeing with some of my guys. It's a gap. It's like, cool, we start marketing, they build presence, people start coming to them, and they start shifting from tendering to negotiate tender, charging, and charging for their time. But they just can't articulate it. And then they feel like it comes unraveled, and they can't stand there confidently and say, this is why you should make the investment, essentially.
There's like a key term in it psychologically. It's value misalignment. So your business, you want to change your business and everything like that, but you personally are not there yet. So I want to do this. I want to charge for my time. I want to be viewed as a professional, but individually, internally, you still don't align and see yourself as that person. Prime example, have that personal development, that experience. That comes from support with some very close friends of mine and other areas within the business that your confidence grows with experience. And when you have confidence, then other people have confidence in having the experience with you of building or in any business. So it's value misalignment. So you need to be very certain and okay with, I'm offering a great service, and it does require an amount. And not everybody, and being okay with being rejected, of going, I'm just going to go for a free quote. That is completely fine. Don't take things personally as a business owner. I struggled with that for a very, very long time. And now I'm just here to offer a solution. And if that's not with me, here's what I would do, and all the best with it. Again, no ego, no personal. A business is a business. We talked about separating the business from you personally. And the business, Kai Konstruct is now its own thing. I have my key priorities and play a key role in it. But if someone doesn't want to do business with Kai Konstruct, I don't go, they don't like me, they don't want to do business with me, all the rest of it. So that's the struggle transition that I personally felt. And it's probably what a lot of builders feel, because the industry has told us from the start, you are not, you don't charge for it. You get your money when you build. And that's the changing of the guard. That's the approaching the building industry in a different way. How we build now is completely different to how we built 50 years ago, even 10 years ago. So why are we mentally prepping with what was 10 years old of industry on how a builder operates and not changing how we operate as a business and add value to our clients if we're building completely different as well?
Tim, I think we've fleshed out a lot today. So I want to say a massive thank you for bringing your thoughts and ideas and responding to my questions. And I hope that our audience get a lot of value out of this. So thank you.
So do I. Thanks, Japes.